All right, well, here we are for our third match. I was actually not able to enter an eight-player queue because I sat for about 20 minutes before one. Never had more than two people, so I decided to just play two-player queues. So we're going to be doing that. So anyway, this is a reasonable hand. I'm going to go ahead and keep it. We don't have a one-drop, but we do have removal spell, potentially a removal spell into Tarmogoyf. So depending on what our opponent's playing, this could be a pretty solid hand. We're definitely going to open with, I believe, Arid Mesa. All right, maybe Windswept Heath. Windswept Heath or Arid Mesa. I mean, the fetch lands are mostly interchangeable. I think we want to get what, green, red. So it doesn't really matter. I guess we have two Windswept Heath, so we'll play one of them. We're gonna want to get Stomping Ground here because I can play Lightning Helix off of Godless Shrine. So I don't know what my opponent's deck is just yet. We'll find out though. We're not playing as okay. It looks like it's probably Pod. Though no mana creature on turn one leads me to potentially question that. Maybe it's just green black. All right. Well, no. Why? Oh, okay, I just didn't actually untap. I'm curious as to why my opponent. I mean, maybe my opponent just has a abrupt decay here. There's no damage based. I mean, it could be something like a disfigure, but that wouldn't kill my Tarmogoyf. So I'm actually just gonna play Tarmogoyf. I think I may just fetch for a basic plains, off of either one of these. I don't think it really matters which one I use. What do we get? What are our next lands? We have Godless Shrine, so we can play basically anything off of these. So yeah, I'm just gonna get basic plains with this. Maybe we actually want to get white red land because we have multiple burn spells. Yeah, I'm just gonna get a Sacred Foundry. So we can potentially play. We can potentially play both burn spells without necessarily having to fetch a red source next turn. We don't want to get basic mountain with our Arid Mesa. This is just all right. So is this going to be Liliana? There's Liliana. Okay. All right. Well, Tarmogoyf is dead, and I'm just going to play this and say go. And hope we get to Smiter for free. What you got for me? Boop. Oh, you discarded Lingering Souls. I discarded Loxodon Smiter. One of us got the better end of this deal. Siege Rhinoceros. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and path. Do I want to path that? I think I'm just going to path that. I don't know if I necessarily want to give my opponent additional resources, but. And I'm just going to attack Liliana this turn. I don't want to do anything like Helix it or anything like that. I'm going to get Blood Crypt so I can, if I do draw a Anafenza or Rhino, I can play it while getting a basic plains with this. We're drawing a lot of land today. I'm just going to go ahead and play Godless Shrine. Say go. So our opponent does have. Alright, there's an Anafenza from our opponent. Okay. I think I just want to kill that with Bolt Helix. Because I want to be able to cast a spell if I draw it next turn, like a more expensive spell. And we got to get by that. Bolt and Helix don't really have a ton of value in this matchup. There's another Helix. So yeah, Bolt and Helix are pretty low value, I feel like, most likely in this matchup, because our opponent has a lot of things that are resilient to it, like Anafenza and Siege Rhino and Lingering Souls, and here I am trying a bunch of them. This is a matchup where I think that I'd really love to have access to like a lot of planeswalkers. Like I feel like Chandra or Ajani would both be Ajani 5, the sweet one, would both be really powerful here. Also, I have always been a fan of Bonfire for matchups like this. It's very good against Lingering Souls and can be a total game breaker in any sort of game that goes long. And we just have a ton of land, and we're just gonna lose. We're just gonna get ground out here. We basically have to draw a Siege Rhino pretty soon in order to have any chance at winning this game. You know, like, because I mean, for instance, the volcanic fallouts in the sideboard of this deck are obviously good against decks like Delver, but they're pretty weak here, where something like a bonfire would be very powerful. Like, the bonfire, the fallouts only deal with the spirits potentially, and are not particularly good at doing so. Yeah, and I guess we can Helix these. I don't see how we possibly win. I'm just gonna concede. Like, this game is basically not winnable from this position. We don't have any tools to actually win the game from there, even if we can stay alive for like an additional turn. So sideboard wise, I mean, given that I don't really have great tools to deal with Lingering Souls, I think I am going to bring in a couple of Fallouts and a Ajani Vengeant. Lightning Helix seems like probably my worst card. Maybe I bring in all 3 Fallouts, because Helix is not gonna, other than like double bolting something, Helix feels like it's pretty weak. Path is obviously pretty powerful. Lightning Bolt is not great, but it's gonna be, okay at least. Potentially at, like, taking out a Liliana after it makes me sack something or something like that. This deck could also actually potentially play Lingering Souls for like grindy type matchups. A lot of the cards in this sideboard are aimed at like specific bullets against things. I think like maybe Firewalker could go from this deck to make room for more things against other creature decks, which is a place that it does feel like it's kind of lacking a little bit of sideboard action against any sort of Jund style deck. It's like, what do you actually bring in? Your bolts are pretty weak, and you only really have access to a Ajani that's a powerful sideboard option against those decks. So I feel like I probably want to have access to more than that if I were to be playing this deck. If I were to be bringing this deck to a tournament. So anyway, maybe those decks are just not a huge portion of the field, but something like Bonfire does have a lot of value, both in a matchup like this, as well as against a deck like Pod or against Affinity. Those are all matchups where I think that it can have some value. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and submit. We'll see how we do here. We would like to play first. Yes, of course. Lovely hands today. Lovely hands. And now this is I guess we keep this. I mean, we play a Nicodle and hope to draw a fetch land so we can actually start casting Curd Apes. Or the Anafenza. Right now we can't actually cast any other cards in our hand. It's also possible that this deck is a little greedy with the number of basic lands it plays for how many colors it is. Playing a basic plains and a basic mountain in this deck seems like it maybe can't actually cast a spell. Seems like maybe a bit much given the demands on the colors. I could see possibly playing an additional fetch land over one of those basic lands to give myself a little bit more consistency in terms of being able to actually play my spells. I'm also just not super sold on Curd Ape in this deck. It's pretty good, but I don't know. I wonder if, just given the fact that you have Anafenza and Siege Rhino, that it's not better to play more copies of Hierarch. I mean, obviously, it wouldn't be better this game because I can't actually play anything anyway. But I'm just gonna hold into this basic plains for Liliana, maybe. No, I probably should play it. Like if I do get my dude killed and then the other dude killed. Maybe like Abrupt Decay here. Well, this feels like it's going to be a tough game to win. Liliana. Or Lingering Souls. Either of them basically beats me. Abrupt Decay. Alright. You know what? Didn't really need that for anything, so that's actually pretty good for me. I would love a land that can get Blood Crypt. That can get Blood Crypt. Alright, so we can go get Blood Crypt. And I think we start with Anafenza. Maybe we start with Curdape, because if my opponent has Liliana, I would obviously way rather sacrifice Curdape to it than Anafenza. Whereas if my opponent, yeah, I think we may start with that. It's a little weird, because obviously Curdape is the weaker of the cards. But if our opponent does play Liliana, we'd rather sack Curdape and play Anafenza than, you know, vice versa. I'm probably not winning either way, considering my opponent has a full grip of cards, and we're only just now being able to cast any of our real spells. Well, there's an argument for possibly playing the Anafenza first, getting Thought Seized here. Given that my opponent didn't play Thought Seized in the earlier turns, you know, I imagine that I didn't expect to see discard coming from him right now, but, you know, that is certainly a risk that you hold by keeping your stronger card in hand. And I believe it looks like we're getting Ghostly Prison. Okay. I was not anticipating a Ghostly Prison, I'll tell you that much. Alright, well, we're going to play a Curdape. We'll play an Arid Mesa. We'll attack with our Curdape. I'm just going to sack this and go get a land now. What do we want? Red, white? Yeah, sure. I mean, we're pretty dead. And if our opponent has anything resembling a reasonable draw. Oh, maybe our opponent's draw is terrible. I kind of want to play the Siege Rhino. That does mean we don't get to attack this turn. Maybe we just attack this turn. Try and like draw out some removal. It seems likely that my opponent's hand has a bunch of removal in it. We should leave Sacred Foundry untapped to you know, bluff best of both Path and Bolt, but I really don't want to go back and re-click my lands. Alright, so Abrupt Decay on one of my Curdapes. We hit for 2. It's fine. So now if I draw a land, I can both attack with my creature and play Siege Rhino. Now that I only have one Curdape, I definitely am not going to take my turn off from playing Siege Rhino next turn, you know, to attack with the Curdape. Having the 2 Curdapes possibly representing, you know, substantially more damage, I felt like it was worth paying the 4 mana and keeping the Siege Rhino in my hand at least that turn. Well, it doesn't look like my opponent's hand is bad, so. So now we will leave the appropriate land untapped. Alright, we're Siege Rhino our opponent down to 6. And it doesn't look like he has a way to remove Siege Rhino right now, so we may actually just win this game. Siege Rhino also tramples, which makes it particularly good against a possible, like, Tarmogoyf. Okay. Well, That's fine. I'm just going to attack with both my guys. He can block if he wants. And we drew Lightning Bolt. Oops. No. Okay, those guys are attacking. Okay. And it's like a card like Ghostly Prison is, kind of awkward in spots like this because, it's not actually, because my opponent doesn't actually have a way to legitimately like punish me. So I'm actually just going to Lightning Bolt the Tarmogoyf because my guy is still going to trample over for damage, and we also get to kill Tarmogoyf here. So it puts our opponent at 2. Pretty tough for him to win this game. We have Fallout in hand and just this board, so that's certainly the power of Trample. We get to use Lightning Bolt to both deal damage to my opponent and kill Tarmogoyf. So yeah, my opponent's deck is, I don't really understand that bringing Ghostly Prison here. I guess it's okay, but didn't really do very much that game. I was, that was sort of kind of felt like the game that I played against the Jeskai Ascendancy deck, where he had like a hate card but not enough that did anything else. And that's one of the problems with like hate cards that aren't proactive, is that you put yourself in a situation where if your opponent does, if the rest of your deck doesn't come together, your hate card is basically a dead draw. And like we saw that last match with my Grafdigger's Cage in particular. Oh, and apparently my opponent didn't want to play anymore. Oh no. Was this from my last match, or was this my opponent conceding? No, that was my last match. It's just popped up and took away my current match. Cool. All right, well, we're just going to submit. Play the same build, the same configuration of the deck here. Like I said, I would love to have access to like Planeswalkers to bring in for this matchup. So I'm going to go ahead and keep this. I have Fetch Land, Noble Hierarch. It's it is a 1-land hand, but we get to go get. This deck doesn't have Overgrown Tomb, right? So we can't actually get Overgrown Tomb. If he Thought Seizes me and takes my Noble Hierarch, this could go badly. Which might be what's happening. Could be Thought Seizing us. Okay, hopefully taking the Loxodon Smiter. That would be the best card for me for my opponent to take. I actually played in a Grand Prix once where I my opponent, Inquisition or Thought Seized me on turn 1, and I jokingly said, want to take Loxodon Smiter? And he's just like, yeah. I'm like, okay, it comes into play. So he took my Tarmogoyf. It's fine. Alright, well, we're going to sack this. So I guess I don't have the ability to actually get black mana, which is kind of annoying here. So I think I just want to get Stomping Ground. We can play Stomping Ground into Hierarch. The problem is if my opponent actually kills Noble Hierarch, then we need to actually find a white source to play anything else. We could get Temple Garden, which allows us to play any of our other things, even if our opponent does kill Noble Hierarch, with any green source, which I think might be correct. So I think I'm actually just going to get Temple Garden. We need to draw another land anyway. So this plays around like the scenario in which my opponent actually just kills Noble Hierarch, and we are at the mercy of the top of our deck. This looks like it's probably an Abrupt Decay on my Hierarch. Yep, there it is. So I'm glad I got the Temple Garden. And now I'm just going to draw all these non-lands. My games have felt pretty similar. Either all land or no land. Treetop Village, that's kind of rude. Something. Alright, Plains. Well, not really rewarded for getting Temple Garden because we do basic Plains, but at least it does something. Alright, so we have a threat in play. Our opponent is probably playing like a Rhino this turn. And nope, just attack with Treetop Village. Okay. Alright, so we're not going to block, obviously, because this is a 3/3 attack into our 2/2. And alright, Windswept Heath is pretty great here. We can't get a black land or a black and red land with this, unfortunately, but we can play on offensive this turn, which is good. So we're gonna go ahead and attack with the Pride Mage, hit our opponent for 3, and then I do think I want to play Anafenza because keeping the Smiter in my hand is at least a little bit of protection from Liliana, and discard as well. So I think I'm going to just get Godless Shrine here and play Anafenza. It's also just a more powerful play overall. So we'll get Godless Shrine, pay the 2 life. We'll play Anafenza. So, we may be just getting Path, which is okay. I mean, we have triple Path here, which we're pretty vulnerable to Lingering Souls, but we're pretty good against actual creatures right now. Our opponent did not get a white source, which is a little odd, but we do have Pride Mage too if everyone happens to have Ghostly Prison and we really want to kill it. I don't know if you just hear Shiro barking just then, but alright, there's a Feated Heath, so it does have white mana. And it looks like he's making some. Oh, this is Rhino. Sorin. Alright. Interesting. Well, I'm going to go ahead and attack Sorin with both of my guys, I think. I could just path this and attack Sorin with this and attack opponent with this, which seems pretty good. I definitely want to kill Sorin, but I also want to damage my opponent. Yeah, I think I'm going to want to get rid of this vampire too. I have 3 paths. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and path this. I want to get the damage in. So attack, opponent, attack, or no, wrong way, on attack, attack, Sorin, attack, opponent. Pump that guy. So I can get a red source here and play, because I want to get a red source, but if I get a red source, yeah, I think I'm just gonna do it. It's Stomping Ground. It cost me 3 life. But I think I just want to play this now because it does pressure my opponent much better than just holding it in hand, holding up paths. It's a little dangerous even in a a sort of attrition matchup like this to drop this low in life because of Siege Rhino. Also, Lingering Souls can be a problem racing. What the? My opponent actually played this untapped. Oh, okay. He's just taking the damage and losing. All right. Well, that's that game. We'll come back for one more match, and then yeah. So pretty sweet. Did reasonably well. Definitely would have liked to have more sideboard option, as I was mentioning. I feel like against a deck like that, and there's a lot of decks like that, Lightning Bolt and Lightning Helix are pretty weak, and you'd like to have some sort of things you can at least remove most of them with, some card advantage tools. But anyway, let's go on to the next.